Hello friends, welcome to part 3 of the Gravely top end engine rebuild. Okay, so in part 2, what I did was I got to the point where I was going to take the jug and the head off. So we took the head off, and then I took the jug off, and I come to find out the piston has a big crack in it here, and you can clearly see it that this didn't just happen. Now, the whole engine assembly, I took off the 54 Gravely, and I looked back on my videos, but I didn't make a recording on taking the engine off the 54 Gravely. I'm just repeating everything from part 2 here. And I found a piece of metal between the engine and the transmission in there, and it was like a mystery to me what that was. I don't have any footage on that. I'm going to look further and see, but I know for a fact that there was metal. Okay, so the only thing I could figure that caused this is somebody was trying to get the jug off at one time, and they must have used a screwdriver or something and broke this, and like I said, the piece went down into the engine, which is giving me a bad taste in my mouth about rebuilding this. Okay, so we have the 20 over piston here. I had a 10 over piston. I took the rings off this, and I actually gapped the ring, and it was like 10 thousandths. I just took the ring separately and stuck it in the cylinder. So the rings are most likely just still good on it. But I went ahead and I called Richard's Lawn and Garden, which they are very good. I ordered the piston, 20 over piston. I ordered the 20 over rings. Then you saw in part 2 that I was having a problem with the intake valve, was wiggling around in there like crazy. I already took out the valve guide here. Okay, so what I used for that was I just used an old socket here, because you don't want to damage the inner part of this guide here where the valve goes up and down in there. So I have a way I'm going to install the new guide in here. I'll show you how I do it and the safest way. And you know, we also have this crack here in the bottom of the jug here, but I have to let that go because the piston don't come down this far, so I think we'll be all right with that. And what I intend to do today is, oh yeah, and also when we were taking it apart here, this bottom round piece here that retains the spring, when I pulled this off, the whole this whole exhaust guide came out. So what I did was I flipped the guide over, and I was able to hammer it in, and it's tight. And also I cleaned up the valve here, and we don't have any play back and forth here, so the guide and the valve on this side's okay. So what I intend to do today is we're going to lap the valves. I bought the valve compound, and I'll show you how we're going to do that on this. And this has the 10 over piston, and I was going to use with the 20 over rings, but I don't like that at all. So I'm going to end up pulling this piston out, and then we're just going to hone out the cylinder. And I ordered the parts, I think yesterday, from Richard's Lawn and Garden, and they're coming from West Virginia, and it usually takes like only 2 days to deliver me the parts. I'm in New Jersey, he's in West Virginia there. The guy Jamie is good. You don't have to give him any part numbers or anything. Just tell him what you need, and he just ships it right over to you. So I'm hoping that the parts come today. But like I said, in the meantime, we're going to just lap the valve, the exhaust valve. I'll use my homemade tool. We'll put the valve spring back in. And like I said, we're waiting for the valve guide for the intake and the valve and the piston and rings, and I ordered the gasket set too, and I got a couple of spark plugs too while I was at it. I got 2 of the bigger ones for the older Gravely's I have, They're pretty big spark plugs. And then I bought the regular plugs for the 6.6 and the 7.6 heads, which I'm using the 6.6 head on this. So, okay, so let me get set up. I'll show you how we're going to do this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so usually you end up getting like some pits around the valve here. This one seems to be pretty clean, not bad at all. And also what you'll get is pits inside here where the valve seats down into the jug. But it seems to be pretty good here. But we're going to lap the valves anyway. Even when I get the new valve, we're going to lap this one in too. And the surface here on the intake, that seems to be pretty good too here. So, alright, so let me set the drill up. I'll put the compound on. I'll show you how to do that. And then we'll get moving here. Okay, so what you want to do is, which I did it already, is you just want to take a little bit. You want to go too crazy with it, with the valve compound. And I put some around where it seats in here, and then I put some around the valve here. Okay, so what I do with these is, let me make sure you're still somewhere around here. What I do with these is that you can use the drill on this. Now you have some applications where it's like a Briggs & Stratton lawnmower engine where you can't gain access to the other end of the valve here. What you would use is a suction cup that goes onto the valve here, and then you would just go back and forth with it. So what I'm going to do now is since we can use the drill on here, I took a 1/4 inch, what was it? Yeah, I think it was a 1/4 inch hose that fits well on the valve here. And then I also took a drill bit. I don't know what size it was, but it fits good on the hose here. And then we're just going to take, and we're just going to try to spin it on here. And you want to go back and forth with the drill. You can hear it working. We'll see how it turned out. Okay, so I ended up putting the clamp on the drill side too. So I got 2 clamps on the hose here, holding it on there good. Okay, let's see what the outcome is now here. What you want to do is wipe off the excess to here. The valve wasn't bad to begin with, but you could see here It's all nice and smooth all the way around here. So that came out pretty good here. So, and also inside here where the valve seat is, it's pretty good. So we're gonna let that go with that. You just want to wipe everything off real good. You don't want any of that getting into the valve journal, any of the valve compound. So, alright, so I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the spring here. This valve's done. And then I'll be back to you shortly. Okay, so you want everything clean. I cleaned the spring and the cup. And then you have this first cup that goes on. I cleaned that all up. Stick that first cup on there. Right? Then you're going to stick your spring on here. Like so. And then you're going to put this cup on here to press the ring down over the valve stem. Now we're going to use our homemade spring compressor tool here. And then you're going to take that retaining clip here. And drop it on the ground. You do that first. So did you get that? Make sure you drop this on the ground first. Alright, so now we're going to compress the spring down here. You know, you're probably tired of hearing me complain, but I got the sun right in my eyes here again. So just bear with me a second here. This is ridiculous. This is really ridiculous here. Off camera, it had been done 10 minutes ago. I know that. Okay, so let's see if the third time is a charm here. Okay, we got it. It's on there tight. So that works good, that tool. Okay, so next we're going to hone out the cylinder here. I don't know if you can see in there too well. It just looks shiny in there. There's no pits or anything like that in there, and I don't see any cracks or anything in there. So, yeah, so Harbor Freight, I bought the honing tool, and I think I mentioned it on part 2. It was like 23 bucks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some oil, motor oil ready. Some people like to use gasoline, some WD-40. I like to use motor oil when I'm honing out a cylinder here. So we're going to get to it as soon as I get the camera set up, and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so what I did was I put a generous amount of oil in the cylinder, all around inside the cylinder here. And I also put oil on the stones on the honing tool here. And you always want to keep this moving. Keep it moving at all times. Don't stop in one place. And you don't want to do that either. But anyway, we're going to check on this thing real quick here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the cylinder out with some brake clean and put some oil in there and do it again. Okay, so before you even start, I forgot to mention you want to clean the cylinder out real good with brake clean or whatever you're using to clean it with. So what I did was, we made that first few passes or whatever, and what I did was I cleaned out the cylinder out again, and then I just oiled it all up again, and we're just going to continue now. You could also adjust on this. You could adjust the spring tension. And I think I have enough spring tension on here to do what we're doing here. Okay, I'm going to put you on pause and I'll clean it up and see what it looks like. Okay, so I did it about 4 or 5 times, and I think you can see in there. Just do it until you're happy with the results, and I'm pretty happy with the results in here. It came out really nice here. So, and that's it. So what I did was, like I said, I cleaned the bore out first. I put oil in there. I put oil on the stones, on the honer, homed it. Kept honing it. Then I cleaned the cylinder out again, took a look at it. Then I oiled the cylinder again, did it again, and just do it again and again and again until you get a nice result like this. Our parts have arrived. Let's see what we have here. So the parts came pretty quick. I think they came in like 2 days. Holy crap, $314. Wow. Wowee. Well, the jug base gasket, that's missing. So I'll have to call them up and tell them to send me one. It's got the head gaskets and all the other gaskets we need here. And then we have the 20 over piston. Yeah, it's got the wrist pin in there, and then the clips are in the box here. And then we got the piston rings here, the oversized 20 over. And I ordered 2 large spark plugs and 2 of the smaller spark plugs here. And then we have the valve and the valve guide here. And what I'm going to do is I'll get set up. I'll show you how I bang these valve guides in. And then I'll just, off camera, I'll lap the valve into the jug. And then I'll go ahead and we'll put the valve back in. And I don't know what we're going to do from there. I'll have to decide. Okay, so I have the new valve guide here. And what I normally like to do is, to be on the safe side, I just stick a bolt in here. This is like a 5/16 bolt. And then I'll just be hitting the top of the bolt here, the head of the bolt, to get that in there. And what I normally do is I just put a little spray in here. Little spray on the guide. And we'll just see where you get it started in there, like this first. Make sure you're in view. Yeah, so I'll have to call them up and tell them that it's missing the gasket for the base here. So, actually, I shouldn't have put 2 cents into this thing here, I feel. You just want to come through the other side here some. See how far we've gone. Still got a good ways to go here. If you go too far, you can always knock it through. I should have wore gloves because I'm starting to cut my hands up a little here. Yep, we still got a little ways to go. I'll just spray a little more spray in there. Spray a little spray here. Check it again. Still got a ways to go. Okay, so once I get this in here, it's almost there. Then we'll continue. Okay, so even though I did my bolt trick, I ended up burying this a little bit here. Because I showed you that I put the bolt in here and then I was hitting it. So what I did was I just took a drill bit and I just went down there very slightly to open that up a little bit. I only had to go down very little bit. So this way the valve will just slide in and out real good here. So we're good with that. And I doubt you'd be able to see it. But you want the guide to come up just a little bit in here. You could see it. So we're good with that. And you can see the valve goes right in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lap the valve off camera like I said. And then we'll use our spring compressor again. I did a little upgrade with that. You probably saw. So it only takes one person to do it instead of 2 people. One to have to hold this. So I'm just going to lap this valve real quick here. And then we'll go ahead and I'll put the spring in there and the keepers and everything. So I'll be back to you momentarily. I have to remember to call him to send me that base gasket too. Okay, so I probably sound discouraged because I am. Okay, so to set this thing up so I could just use it by myself, this is the intake manifold here. And what I did was I just clamped this in here. And then I have a deep socket. It's a pretty long socket, about that long. And I put it under the valve so the valve doesn't fall out. So I'm able to use this, you know, by myself now. So what you're gonna do is, there's this bottom piece here, and you can see where the spring fits right in there, like this. And this opening here actually goes over the valve guide in here. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to wiggle that on. Make sure everything's clean. And then you put your spring on. And then you'll put this cup on here. Right? And then we'll take our tool and see if we can get this in one shot this time without dropping anything. Okay, so we got that in one shot like that. Since my stroke, my right hand's pretty bad. That's why I was having trouble with the other side there. Okay, so we have our spring back in. In the meantime, like I said off camera, I locked this new valve in, which really didn't need to be, but I did it anyway. And that's it for that. And this is the socket I used to keep the valve from falling out. So that's it. We got our valves in. We honed out the cylinder. I don't know. Let me see if I'm going to film anything else. I want to see how much time we used already on this video here. So I'll be back to you. Okay, so the discouragement with this is this. You saw the piston skirt when I took it apart. There was a hunk broke off it. Now, that hunk of metal had nowhere to go but down into the bottom end of the engine. I ran that tractor after I put the engine off from the 54. I did run that for a while, pulling the trailer around here and stuff. But even if I took the bottom end apart, if I took it off and split the case, who's to say no metal got into the transmission already, you know? So we're just gonna have to go with it. I didn't realize all the parts costed $314. I didn't realize that. But, you know, since that metal went down into the lower end, it wasn't really worth putting 2 cents into it. But we're just gonna go with it. We're gonna go for it. I don't know, on part 4, maybe I'll go over putting the rings on the piston. And I think I'll just put the piston on the connecting rod, and I'll ask my friend Rich, or maybe when Miss Lisa comes around, she can help me. I just need somebody to hold the jug, because at the bottom of the jug, it's like tapered. And a lot of times, I used to be able to do it myself. Just hold the jug there and squeeze the ring, and just keep pushing the jug down till the rings were in the cylinder. But I'm going to see how that goes. Or there's another way I could do it, which I think I said it in the beginning of this video, where I could just put the piston on the connecting. No, I'll put the piston into the jug and leave it sticking down, and then I could just hold the jug there, put the wrist pin in there, and then put the clip in there to hold the wrist pin in. So we'll have to decide on that, what to do. Thanks for joining me on part 3 here, and I'll see you all on part 4. And we're just gonna hope for the best. I'll put it back together and hope for the best with this. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you all on the next one, and stay safe.